Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil where if I can find the virtual desktop that actually has Dwarf Fortress on it. We last time finally got most of, no indeed, strictly all of, but then something went wrong, the Dwarven swimming training facility with block signalling working correctly. And each of the loops now has 4 minecarts, I assert. Yeah, one of them's there, isn't it? Yes. 4 minecarts circulating, or in one case not circulating, and teaching dwarves to swim. Several things have gone wrong nonetheless, because obviously I couldn't actually get it right first time, or indeed 5th time as we're approximately now. In particular, someone did manage to get killed by this minecart, which has the slight problem that they've now left all of their belongings on the minecart track. So at the moment, I've just held up circulation of those minecarts since there's no one in them anyway, in the hope that someone will, the new owner of this stuff, which appears to be mostly a child, will Kib Sanra Baban will come and collect these objects. Well, that's quite a valuable amulet. For a beeswax amulet. A beeswax amulet encrusted with exceptionally worked oval green jade capuchons. Yes, I suppose that might be worth something. No, not encrusted with exceptionally worked Ovaltine capuchons.
Unusual. Sadly not gluten free, but
Pink Beast says, out of interest, has the swimming training yet killed more dwarves than drowning has? Good question. I think not, because I think we've killed a good 10 dwarves through drowning in the river.
often triggered by fighting goblins.
Yeah.
Cautiously, but
Um,
still there.
so I think the number of the swimming training system has not killed that many. It's like killed 2 or 3, I think. So yes, anyway, where was I? Yes. And we have a slight problem also that I assigned a couple of dwarves to military duties while they were riding the minecarts, and it turned out that their response to this was to immediately remove all of their clothes and dump them on the minecart tracks.
Is this because they were meant to be changing into more military?
Yes.
Right.
Obviously, the new clothes weren't available to them on the minecart, but they nonetheless removed all this inappropriate clothing.
I just reminded of that bit in Dirk Gently where Dirk hypnotises Richard and makes him take all his clothes off and jump in the canal for no reason.
Yes, I think it feels very similar. So, like, here we have a big pile of clothes, and here we have a recruit who is wearing only water. Yes, they are comprehensively covered in water because they're busy learning to swim. Indeed, they have learnt adequately to swim. Competent swimmer, and have thus been assigned to the military. So, yes, I should try not to do that again, and next time we drain the swimming pool, we'll recover all of that rubbish. I'm wondering if I can, like, mark all of this stuff for dumping and have it dumped very nearby, and then unforbid it again, and if that will save, mean we can get it out of the way quickly rather than relying on a child to tidy up and put all their stuff back in their bedroom, which obviously is not going to go very well. I think I might have made this kind of accident less likely as well, because we had the problem that when you mark anything, when you build any minecart track, it gets marked as a low traffic area, which encourages dwarves not to go through it if they can find a route that doesn't involve going through it. But because this patch of land had been marked as several different kinds of minecart track, all of it was a low traffic area, and so there wasn't actually anything to discourage people from treading on the minecart tracks themselves. I have now corrected that, and only the actual minecart tracks, these 4 squares, are now marked as low traffic areas, so that should improve matters. So yes, what I'm going to do is to temporarily create a tiny little garbage dump zone very close to this pile of rubbish, or not really rubbish, no, and then mark everything there apart from the minecart for dumping. So now if we pick a random thing, it's marked for dumping. We should obviously then unmark the minecart because we want the minecart to stay where it is. Thank you. So my hope now is that that will encourage people to rapidly move those items out of the way. We'll see. Right, what else have we got? I've been doing a bit of poking around and looking at things that we want to do something with. So let's just have a look now that that's had a few seconds to settle. Right, though, no, that still doesn't have a task. Well, we'll see what happens. Anyway, so I had so you may have noticed that I've been putting a fair amount of effort into finding more gypsum because we kept getting jobs to make more plaster cancelled for lack of gypsum. And so I thought, oh right, we're using plaster terribly fast because people keep getting rung down by minecarts and getting their limbs broken and needing casts, and so we need lots of gypsum. No, that's not what's going on. If we go to our stocks and choose powder, then we have 139 units of gypsum plaster. That's quite a lot. What's happening is that the task for making plaster is incorrectly conditionalized. So I've set up a repeating task. Whenever it looks like we're low on plaster, make more plaster. Where is it? Make plaster powder. And it is conditional on, do we have less than 10 gypsum plaster? You will observe that 183 or whatever the number was is not less than 10. Nonetheless, this condition is apparently satisfied. I think gypsum plaster does not count if it is in a bag. So even though one of the suggested conditions is amount of gypsum plaster is less than 10, this one doesn't trigger. If, on the other hand, we add a new item condition, and rather than choosing gypsum plaster, or indeed choosing things made of gypsum, or made of plaster, we instead choose the slightly odd plaster containing items, which for some reason I don't know how to get out of that without pressing escape. Anyway, plaster containing items, and say set that to less than 10, that's not satisfied. And just to confirm it's actually measuring the right thing, if we set the number to, say, 200, it is satisfied. At 150, hang on, have I got that right? Yes. Okay, it was 100, was it 130 something? Yes. I misremembered the number. Anyway, so if we use plaster containing items, it comes out a bit better. We can be slightly more specific than that and say plaster containing bags, which at least makes it clear what's going on.
Well, it doesn't say plaster of Paris containing plaster.
Those are currently and. I'll now delete the useless amount of gypsum plaster condition.
And now deal with the fact you have so much plaster of Paris available you could actually make the Eiffel Tower out of it.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to have a little while we don't make any. I mean, we're out of gypsum at the moment. I should possibly mine a little bit more, but so yes, I think I should increase the number though. We should choose the number because we essentially need enough buffer to supply a plausible number of simultaneous broken limbs. And we should probably make that about the same amount that we store in the in the hospital.
Dwarf is going to swim into the pool while minecarts are running to get all their stuff back.
No, I think they won't ever do that. I think dwarves will not ever voluntarily, for suitable values of voluntarily, enter deep water. Even if they can swim. The useful thing about being able to swim is that having involuntarily entered deep water, they can get back out again. But and involuntarily includes I was dodging something and it turned out the direction I dodged in was into the river, which is the main way that they drown. Pink Beast suggests that the correct amount of plaster to have is four times the total supply of dwarves, because that way we can deal with each one of them having 4 broken limbs simultaneously. I'm not sure they have that. I think they can have more than 1 break per limb, but I think in practice, somewhere we've got we could.
They may have more than 1 break per limb. It doesn't follow you need twice as much plaster for 2 breaks along the same limb.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think they are upper and lower. They have separate upper and lower limb casts, but I'm not sure. I think a more reasonable approach is to say that my hospital only has 9 beds. So assuming that's a reasonable size, we want enough casts for 2 casts per bedridden dwarf. So let's say we need about 20 plaster. So what I'm going to do is to say that we need is to actually increase the requested quantities of pretty much everything in the hospital, and say we need about 20 of everything rather than about 5 of everything.
What's your hospital's doctors to beds ratio?
Those actually assigned to work there, it's about the same number of doctors as beds. Everyone else knows how to doctor, but they aren't assigned to the job specifically. We don't generally use splints, and we don't need many crutches.
Is nursing a profession that dwarves can take?
Yes, I think they're known as orderlies,
And
but they do wound cleaning and stuff.
And have you presumably long dealt with the problem that meant that everyone was a doctor but not a bone setter?
Yes, we fixed that. Right, so I've turned up the requested amount of stuff in the hospital a bit, and let's similarly set the limit, the threshold for when we need to make more plaster to 20. That seems reasonable. Unfortunately, the job is currently active.
Science fictional suggestion.
Can dwarves not just dive into a pool of gypsum and be fished out by machinery? No, sadly, plaster as a glob is not a material that Dwarf Fortress knows about. I think you go straight from plaster powder and water to solid plaster attached to a dwarf. So you can't flood places with liquid plaster or with semi-liquid plaster. Amusing though that would be. So that's that fixed. Possibly we should arrange to mine a bit more gypsum just in order to get that job to clear itself. I did find some. We'll go in search of that in a moment. So we found more. We had a visit from some goblins, which means we have a load more goblin copper armour that we should recycle. So I think we should just go in here, choose copper, and say copper armour is not actually of any use to us at all. Melt it all down. Similarly, copper legwear. Don't know why it's forbidden. Let's unforbid it. If it's inaccessible, they won't access it. I mean, we might get job cancellation spam for it, at which point I'll fix that. Copper footwear. Recycle all the copper footwear. See, I can just click melt all the copper low boots, can't I? For some reason, we don't have any copper high boots. Apparently goblins don't believe in high boots. Melt all the copper gauntlets.
dwarf would be perfect sleeping bag.
Sorry, just reading up on things. Right, anyway, yes. Melt all the copper helms. Right, that should do. I suppose we could see if we've got copper shields, but those work just as well as any other shields. So, yeah. Right. I think we can't just search for X in order to find worn things, can we? No, we curiously get only wax then. The old version used to be able to do that. Yes, muskox leather was not what I was looking for when I typed X. Because, like, we probably also want to melt down badly worn iron armour and such like. Oh, sorry, that wasn't the button I meant to press, apparently. Armour, iron. It was like ordinary ironmail shirts are probably fine. But the badly worn ones may as well be recycled. Where worn for an ironmail shirt means someone stuck an axe through it. All our steel mail shirts, on the other hand, are in good condition. Because, well, it's steel, it's pretty hard to get through with typical goblin weaponry. I suppose we don't wear iron low boots, do we? So we may as well melt all of those. Because I have my dwarves wearing high boots. Large gauntlets aren't much use. Because they won't fit dwarves. Let's melt down the worn iron gauntlets as well, because we should make more steel instead, ideally. On which subject I have plans for how to get that going as well. Oh yes, I think quite a lot. We should have a quick inspect of them in a moment. Quite a lot of the decorated things are decorated with the emblems of goblin civilizations. So if we inspect, say, this one, an iron helm sized for goblins, on the item is a rendition of the Hex of Onslaught, a well-designed image of two bloated tubers, not the instrument. The image is the symbol of the washed flies, a goblin civilization. It is made from giant rat bone. That is, the image is made from giant rat bone.
It's an iron helm made from rat bone.
No, it's an iron helm with an image of two bloated tubers in giant rat bone,
Oh, okay.
which is the symbol of the goblin civilization that keeps attacking us. Have we looked at iron legwear yet? I can't remember. Not that we generally use leggings. Only one of those is worn, apparently. Right, so that will melt down a bunch of stuff. So if we're going to, we have got some steel in stock, but if we're going to make steel armour, we really need some more flux stone. And exploration has led me to conclude that the most convenient flux stone is probably this patch of limestone down here, because that staircase with a small diversion there leads straight up to the workshop area, the hot workshop area. And I think somewhere near here, is that gypsum? Yes, there's also some gypsum. So if we mine out this way, we can probably find a bit of gypsum to clear out that inconvenient bit of task for making plaster, which we'll then stop doing. Actually, what I could do is temporarily turn that down to a very small job, couldn't I? Now let's just leave it like that. We'll get some gypsum. Right, so that's that. Another thing I thought of was that we occasionally get, Steph says, tubers as in potatoes. Yes. So another thing was that I noticed that we occasionally get animals dying of old age, and that's inconvenient because it appears you can't then butcher them. Now, I think each kind of animal has a minimum age at which they can die of old age. And for most grazing animals, it's 10 years. So I thought a sensible thing would be to butcher animals that look like they are old enough that they're in danger of dying of old age. Most of our animals aren't actually that old. There are a few. That would also give us a supply of bone for making trinkets and some leather. And I also want to try to organise our clothing industry a bit better. And I have some ideas about that, but that might wait a bit until we've got some leather. So there's a 13-year-old donkey who is thus dangerously close to dying of old age. Actually, do I have access to the... I don't think I have access to the setting for slaughtering an animal from any of these tabs, which is inconvenient. You can't treat it as treatment. It's not a labour, which is, I think, where it used to get recorded. How am I meant to, recycle animals if I can't press? There should be a button about there. Oops. Well, let's give it a name that means we can find it in the list later. Oh, except that doesn't seem to work. Just curious, it seemed to allow me to put the cursor in both of those. Oh, right, then that allows you to make them say the same thing. Stray doomed donkey. Well, that wasn't quite the name I was aiming for, but it'll do.
This donkey, it's all stray, dude.
Llamas don't die until they're at least 15. Random useless fact for you. Blue peafowl are also weirdly long-lived.
Can they die before they're 15?
But I mean, they can still die of things other than old age. So an oddity in Dwarf Fortress, cavies die quite early, but that's a pet, so we can't randomly slaughter them. An oddity in Dwarf Fortress is that most creatures' dates of death, or dates of natural death, are set at birth. So at birth, a random number generator decides when you're going to die, in the absence of intervening goblins.
That's creepy and sinister.
Well, it probably it's probably easier to get the probability distribution right if you do that. You just go, generate me a uniformly distributed number from here to here, rather than every day generating the correct thing to ensure that everyone does actually die eventually. Like if you do the obvious thing and make it a Poisson process or something, you'll end up with this embarrassing thing that some people do actually live forever.
Gompert's law is the thing that governs this, of which Mark Dominus writes, this is obviously mathematically incoherent, but a number of things are both true and mathematically incoherent, and this is one of them.
Right, yes.
Apparently your probability of dying per year increases exponentially, which makes no sense, because at some point it has to get bigger than 1. But presumably by the time it does that, you've already died, and so
Yes.
it's fine.
So I think for now I'm only doing those animals that are over 10 years old, and it might actually just be that donkey at the moment. Quite a few who are 9, and so might at any moment... oh no, there's a stray water buffalo who has a combat history, but with no actual messages in it. My hope is that now I'll be able to find them in the unit list by the name I've given them, even if... Right, I think that's all of them. We might also want to have a look at the birds as well, but I think most of our birds are quite young. Oh, a 14-year-old stray blue peahen. They might want to be slaughtered soon. Birds, unlike pasture animals, we're actually slightly trying to breed. Or at least you can't stop them breeding. Well, you can stop them sitting on their eggs. I suppose in theory some of the dogs might be old enough to be slaughtered, but we'd have to find them. And they're not all conveniently next to one another. Well, let's tag those 2 for slaughter at least. Unsurprisingly, the longest standing members of the fortress are also the oldest, apparently. Suppose we could inspect some of the others, yeah. But it's kind of awkward doing it like this because we end up having to click through so many things to get back again. It is slightly unhelpful that Caton is a dog. How long do guinea fowl live, I wonder? Where's my page for guinea fowl? Guinea fowl live 10 to 15 years. So a 10-year-old stray guinea cock is probably ready to be cooked, though I bet we won't get much meat off one of those. That's only a 9-year-old donkey. Right, well, let's leave that for now. Oh yes, we've set that, requested that mining. So a slightly exciting thing, we've got a bunch of random goblin parts that want recycling, haven't we? Or at least dumping in the rubbish. A slightly exciting thing is, you may remember my attempts at draining the river, which were being foiled by the dwarves' refusal to smooth underground walls. And so I tried to mark a wall down here for smoothing, and it also wasn't getting smoothed. Well, I found that possibly as a result of the upgrade, the test wall has now been smoothed. So possibly I should go back to the previous one and have another go at draining the river. So I don't seem to be any tasks getting assigned for dumping those, which is a pity. So owned items don't get properly dumped. I mean, I can kind of see the point in that, but... So... All right, our limestone mining is progressing well. Then we should probably organise like making steel and things. Oh, what's happened? Oh, an elven caravan has arrived. Excellent, because another exciting thing is that the elven diplomat has arrived. I hope they'll still be willing to trade with us. Oh, I can't. There's no. Sorry. Another exciting thing is that we're allowed to export bins. But guess what all our bins are made of? No, we can't export bins to the elves. Well, we can export our 3 copper bins to the elves.
Made of elf.
No, they're made of wood.
Elves don't like that.
No. That's inappropriately mistreating trees.
Elves think that wood is designed to have one end in the ground and still be growing. They make living houses out of it.
Yes, yes. Also, they make things which they insist are ethically produced from trees.
If branches just fall off with their wood, are you allowed to use that?
Possibly, yes. I don't quite know their rules. But our habit of felling anything that we can't get tasty fruit from is, I think, not considered acceptable.
And since you can't give a perfect provenance, which I think all the elves go now, not having any real thing.
And yeah, if you try to sell them anything made from wood or animals, they pack up and go home. And I consider it a great success when I managed to get them to buy anything off me. Right, so yeah, none of those seem to be getting automatically dumped. I think I should unmark them for dumping because I don't think it's going to help. And we just need to either hope that the child who owns them doesn't get run down by a minecart when they finally decide they want to keep them, or leave that half of the dwarf washer inoperable for now, which is fine. What? Now everyone's picking them up. Oh, did they become unowned when I marked them for dumping? It looks like they did. And so now, perversely, they're getting, or maybe when I unmarked them for dumping, now they're all getting moved to stockpiles. Excellent. Right. So about this thing, we have. So the problem is that the wall that we want to carve into fortifications is down here, below 3Z levels of water, because the aquifers higher up have flooded it quite horribly. So I think what I want to do is to dig below it and then make a hole through the edge of the map further down. I mean, I have been planning to drain everything into the caverns, but I think I don't want to do that now. And then we can dig upwards and release all that water, hopefully in a non-fatal way. And thus get the water out, and then we can make the drainage system work. And then we can work out how to pierce the bottom of the river safely. So I think what I want to do for that is to wall in the edges of the staircase as we dig down, which I think means that I want to have up here, nice and close to the entrance, a stockpile of rock blocks. Let's not. Actually, no. I don't care. Let's use porcelain if it's what we have conveniently to hand. So yes, a rock block stock, and then it will be reasonably quick to wall off each of the layers. What? Someone else has been run down by a minecart? So is there currently a minecart there? No, where has the minecart got to? So that is S5. S5 currently shows as occupied, but that minecart has just departed, apparently running over a child in the process.
Train has just departed from platform 3. Please rescue the squash infant.
So the slight problem is that this one is going to come into the station soon if we don't stop it. So we should be able to do that by emergency pulling S5 fill, though I think there may not be anyone nearby enough to pull that in time. So yes, the thing is that being run over by a single minecart is generally non-fatal, but it tends to leave you unconscious. Oh, but they was hit so hard they flew out of the minecart track. They're now on a square adjacent to the minecart track, and that's obviously reasonably safe, right? We don't need to pull that lever because they've been thrown safely to one side and now just need to be rescued before they bleed to death.
So some strange new definition of word safety, of which I was not previously aware, but yeah, I guess.
Diplomacy. Greetings from the woodlands. We have much to discuss. Whatever possessed you to brave these wilds where our animal friends are even larger than your kind than usual? What? We do not know, but know that this land is sacred. Yes, you asked us to do this last time. We asked you to cap your tree fells to 1. No, we denied you last time. You've told me a bit more about what's going on outside, though mostly telling us about random bits of internal elven politics, it looks like. I'm not sure we care.
What were those red blobs moving around the map sinisterly?
I think those were indicating the things we'd just been told about.
Oh, right. They definitely look like armies gradually migrating towards a position.
Yes, I think they are indeed the
Yes, right.
thing. The army of Legu Glimmerpads marched on natural carried. The army of Este Otapirs marched on natural stoke. Release Wings was conquered by the confederacies of igniting. You'll observe it is now a human forest retreat. Those two are still elven. Meanwhile, bunch of other people marched on lizard kindling. Looks like there was not much conquering. Lots of stuff happened there. We got a new queen of the white saffron. Refugees from the nature of weakness, or calling themselves the nature of weaknesses, fled just before Stoked Twilights was attacked by goblins, so apparently Stoked Twilights survived.
Well, maybe it was still not much fun to be there.
Yes. So yes, a bunch of stuff has happened around there. Slightly concerned by these red bits. I don't know if those are of any significance. Well, English net reliefs appears to have at least been removed. While seriously injured is at least on their way to hospital. So I think that instance of getting run down by a minecart is going to end tolerably. Yes, soap. Another one of the things we need to sort out is soap, because we're running low on soap.
Is that stuck in some similar state?
So that's a slightly different. So that there, the problem I think is that we're trying to grow. We have some, so we make our soap out of rock nuts, which you crush and then squish. You mill and then press in order to get oil out of them. And we have the problem, I think, that we're trying to grow them in near surface soil, which is not very good soil, and we've run out of fertiliser. So if we select this farm plot, we get a note saying poor soil. And if we had enough fertiliser, we could probably deal with that. But it does say brackets cavern soil is best. So the brave approach would be to break into the caverns and start farming things in the caverns. I think that might be a bit too brave, given the number of forgotten beasts down there.
Have any of them, has the forgotten beast ecology improved by some of them running into each other and killing each other?
Yeah, there's been a bit of that. So I suppose it's probably not that dangerous down there now. How is that area accessed, I wonder? But what I wonder is, do we actually need to be in the caverns, or do we just need soil near the caverns? And conveniently, we've flooded pretty much everywhere, so we've got mud on most bits of underground ground. And maybe I can just start farming one of these deeper, deep muddy areas and see if it turns out to have good soil. And conveniently, all I need to do, I think, is to create a farm plot and see what messages we get about its soil once it's created. So I think I can just go make me a farm plot. And then see what that turns out like. And maybe that's the wrong place to put it, but and then we can see if that is good enough, or if we actually have to go into the caverns. I'm not sure I want to go into the caverns. I think I might instead mechanise the production of potash in order to increase the rate of production of rock nuts. At least we do appear to have a sustainable rock nut situation, because we've just stopped turning them into soap once the quantity got too low. But it would be better. Is that a tantruming doctor? Oh, it's a depressed doctor. Stop being depressed. I appreciate this is probably not the way it works. Yeah, we need to fix the clothing situation. But they're not feeling anything about that anymore. I mean, that is in itself a problem, but... Yes, I do want to slightly reduce the number of dead goblins we have lying around. But there is this slight problem that the goblins keep turning up and they have to be killed. But if we can drain the river, then we can get some of the dead goblins out of the way. Oh, we want 3 more copper picks and perversely 3 more copper bolts.
Which is to the 90-minute setting on fabric care, the fabric care.
Oops. So I now wonder, do I actually have to make 3, or do bolts come in more sensible quantities anyway? Don't know. Don't care. Right. Right. So we're getting probably slightly too many blocks transported down here, especially since this has turned out to allow bins. No bins. Don't want 25 bins full of blocks. Right, so now we've only got 1 slightly surprising shoe lying around there. I think we can allow dwarves to start riding the minecarts in the Dwarf Washer North. So we essentially set each of the minecarts to ride immediately instead of push off never. And that should then mean we get dwarves riding the northern loop as well. And yes, that's a reason why dwarves end up standing on the minecart tracks, is to clean the blood of the last dwarf who got injured on the minecart tracks. Your cat just got run down by a minecart. That is rather harder to avoid.
Trying to teach cats to look both ways before crossing the road or the railway.
Right, so now we have dwarves getting washed in both halves of the Dwarf Washer. Excellent. And people will be gradually getting better at swimming. Right. So now we have a reasonable stock of blocks there. We can, I think, safely-ish dig down into the aquifer and open up enough space that we can then build walls around the staircase in order to stop the water leaking in. and therefore we can keep that staircase dry, whatever we use it for. Sadly, our signal box is mostly populated by dogs, which is kind of weird. Okay, I do have a question about why N5 is showing occupied when it isn't. Is that just a timing thing? Oh, it's just a timing thing, right. I'm not too worried then. Mostly clearing out some of these so that then when something interesting happens I can actually see it. Right, here comes a dwarf to do some mining. Only they've immediately, of course, marked the area around the staircase as not being mineable because it was wet. That wasn't actually what I intended to happen. But curiously not vertically downwards. Oh well. We can probably fix this before too much water leaks in. It's a tantruming child getting into fights with people and possibly throwing bins at people. We should see if there's anything we can sell to these elves, though they can probably only sell us fruit. I suppose they might have some cloth. We like cloth, don't we? Assuming like that they've turned up here at all. I mean, the 3 copper bins are actually empty. And I think we can sell those. I think we can probably sell plant-based socks. Are any filled billion jugs in here? A few, yes. And we found that beeswax was okay, didn't we? At least undecorated beeswax. That looks like it's mostly new clothes. Let's not bother with that one. Similarly that. Like, I don't expect them to have much that we want. Doubt we can sell any of the armour. Suspect they don't like Nautilus shell. That all appears to be more or less new. My hope is that we still won't have a ban on exporting bins by the time we get a trade caravan that will take bins, and then we can dispose of a lot of empty bins. But I fear that I won't be so lucky. A few worn out saleable things there, maybe. That's mostly leather. There's some worn stuff we could sell to them in there with a bit of care. That seems to be mostly new. We've actually got 146 cloth, which suggests that I need to reorganise my jobs to work better. It'll take beeswax, so let's bring that up. And another load of, well, that's actually thread mostly rather than cloth, but there's still some cloth in there. Okay, I should have a look at my clothing making tasks, orders, and see if there's anything in there that we obviously like not working properly. Because it should be the case that we can, like we actually are making some clothes. I think my plan for clothes is to reorganise things so that we try to keep more of each, substantially more of each item than we have people in the fortress, and that way it won't really matter how the accounting is done, but we won't have a stupidly large amount of anything in the way that we have, say, a stupidly large amount of booze at the moment, or food. We should also poke through the kitchen menu, because there's a bunch of stuff in there I think needs changing. Oh, that's got some royal jelly in, we can dispose of that. Right, that'll do. Right, the stray doomed water buffalo has been slaughtered. Excellent, so that'll give us a bit of a supply of leather. So let's just start, let's have a look at our least happy people and see what their clothing situation is like. It's probably not bad actually, but you're not actually unhappy about your clothes, which is correct because all your clothes are good. But like your cloak is worn out, so we should make cloaks, and I bet don't think we've even been trying to make cloaks. Cloak feels like it should be made of yarn. So the conditions on making cloaks should be amount of cloaks available is less than, well, I mean, I feel I want that to be about 200. But given that we apparently have fewer than 20, we're going to make a lot of cloaks. Well, that's fine. Then we'll have a situation where we have 200 cloaks in the fortress and anyone who wants a cloak can wear a cloak. I mean, we also need a supply of yarn cloth, and apparently we don't have a supply of yarn cloth, so that job's going to sit around until we do. Make that 20. So that job's not actually going to happen anytime soon because we don't have enough. Yarn for it. So let's have a look at the clothing making jobs we do have scheduled, we do have set up, and try to make them more sane. So this one is currently set up for when unused silk cloth greater than 20, but that's led us to have an enormous quantity of extra unnecessary socks. Now, what is the correct number of socks? Well, we have 160 dwarves, they have 2 feet each. So that suggests we need at least 320 socks. I think we should say thus 400 socks. You will observe that when I set the requested number of socks in the fortress to 400, the answer is not satisfied. We already have 400 socks in the fortress. Excellent. We will not be making silk socks anytime soon.
Oh, you've got a good rock sock stock. No.
Yes. So similarly, gloves. Correct number of gloves is about 400. So there, once we have some plant cloth, we might make some gloves. Apparently have a yarn vest job, okay. Let's make that 20 like we did for the other one. Basically, I'm trying to keep some stock for strange moods and such like. And say we should aim for 200 vests. Surely that doesn't need to be at 50. Let's make that 20 as well. And say our target number of shoes is 400. Similarly, target number of shirts, 200. Target number of pairs of trousers. Like, one thing I don't know is whether that's... Actually, we can probably test this, can't we? It is likely that everyone in the fortress is wearing shoes. So what happens if we set that number to like 200? Okay, I'm wondering if this is actually unowned items. Because surely we have more than 200 shoes in the fortress in total. Let's try to work out whether we have more than 200 shoes in the fortress. We have 3,177 footwear. Of which... This is probably counting a bunch of stuff that the elves have brought with them, of course. Okay, maybe this is more hassle to add up than I had hoped, because we have shoes made of every different kind of leather. Yeah, okay, I can't actually work out how many shoes we really have, but it looks like quite a lot. I wonder if those numbers are actually unowned, and we want the numbers to be thus much lower. Let's try that and see what happens. Because then I fear that otherwise I fear we are going to make too much of everything. So let's, rather than setting it to 200, set it to 20. Sorry, shoes should obviously be set to 40. Yes, so we're somewhere around between 20 and 40 shoes, and that's surely not the total number of shoes in the fortress. Oops. Still waiting for someone to come down here and do some mining. The water is slowly leaking in, but that's fine. Slowly leaking is acceptable. What's going on here? This is people getting into fist fights. Yeah, we'd like to fix that, but we're actually running out of wood again. Does rather look that way, yes. Trying to find things that we can cut down that don't reduce our fruit supplies. I think oaks may actually be reasonably sensible to cut down. Willows are, of course, pretty much useless. So, problem is they're all next to the river, but we're planning to drain the river. So, once we've drained the river, it's one thing I've just noticed is we don't seem to have most of the roof on our bathhouse. We should fix that, shouldn't we? We can at least fill in the gaps there. There's a giant Kia turning up to make a nuisance of itself. Where are the miners? Oh, here comes a miner. Good. Yes, you are going to get interrupted by agitated giant Kias, I'm afraid. This is part of the way of the world. Right, so now let us... Oh, that button wasn't there before. I mean, that is actually what I wanted. Well, I don't really care. But most of what we've got nearby is porcelain bricks. We also apparently have nearby siltstone blocks. Apparently borax blocks. Why is there a pool of Etin blood at the bottom of this staircase? Right, so now a bunch of dwarves will come and start installing those walls, which should... Oh, what? I'm slightly confused by that. We seem to be building things... So, shortage of logs still. Seem to be building things out of the porcelain bricks that are down here, which is a slightly odd thing to be doing. Like, surely I had some porcelain bricks elsewhere that were easier to get to. Oh well. Oh no, hang on, that one can't be done yet because we need the adjacent wall to be built. Right, so this layer is now fully walled off and should not flood anymore, or at least wouldn't flood anymore, except that the layer above is not fully walled off yet, and so might let a bit more water in before things sort themselves out. But not much, because that's the last square. So now we can mine. Oops. What? That's confused. One layer further down. Seems to be wet there already, though. It's a bit hard to tell whether that's because it's in an aquifer layer or something else. Possibly we don't need quite this big a stockpile of blocks down here now. So let's see what we can trade for. What do we have that we might want to sell that's adequately... Well, do they have anything we want, is I suppose the first question. They have some fruit, and we quite like fruit. We wouldn't mind some cloth. I mean, I'm not wholly opposed to buying clothes from them, but fully manufactured clothes are expensive things. Let's first see if they have any cloth. Because because cloth is probably the best thing for us to buy. If they don't have cloth, then we might go for fruit or clothes. They don't seem to have brought any interesting animals. Right, looks like they've brought no cloth. We are really, I can't really claim that we need more fruit given the fruit food situation. So I think if we're going to buy anything, we should buy any interesting clothes they brought with them. Because elven clothes will fit dwarves. I feel that making boots out of kapok is going to have slightly odd consequences, like the inverse of concrete shoes. You wear them and you end up floating upside down in the river.
It's even stranger if you live here as K-pop.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, some wooden shields wouldn't be bad. Right, let's see if we can afford those then. So obviously we can't sell them beet dog bone bracelets, but we can sell them beeswax earrings and jugs full of royal jelly. If we get this right, they will not hate us. I have got it right once and got it wrong twice so far. Do you think I think they're okay with wool. Can't really sell them leather though. Definitely unmark the leather. Silk should be okay. Pigtails are okay because they're not actually made of pigs. I mean, we'll discover now that they don't like wool, or maybe silk. But, like, I don't really mind annoying the the elves if that's what it takes. Damn it, I got it wrong somehow. What did I select that I shouldn't have selected? Pretty sure I didn't select anything that required killing something, but it's possible I made a mistake. I'm sure they're aware that you can shear a sheep without killing it. Jute is a kind of fibre and not a kind of Germanic person. Are they Germanic? Something like that. Oh, apparently Justin says that elves don't like wool. Bah! We didn't kill them. Well, we maybe did. but are fine with silk. Well, that's now 1 out of 4 elven caravans I have offended. It's fine, we didn't really need what they were bringing with them anyway. If they'd had some cloth, I would have been slightly more annoyed. I think I should abolish that stockpile now. We've got enough blocks here. Hopefully that won't cause all those blocks to suddenly be moved away again. I mean, I suppose I could forbid them if necessary. So, oh yes, so something happened about our underground farm plot. Can we tell whether it's any good yet? Aha, it is not labelled as poor soil. So the near surface farm plot, when we select it, says poor soil, brackets cavern soil is best. The deep farm plot does not say poor soil. There is a slight question of whether I made that in the right place, but because like we need to be able to get people in there to sow it. So what I would ideally like is somewhere that's like accessible from a reasonably decent staircase. Kind of tempting to try to extend this staircase downwards, because then it would actually end up quite close to that. I mean, we'll probably have some problems with aquifers along the way. Right, so that's just been exposed. Everything around is damp. So that means there's a danger of an aquifer there. And we should open it out, carefully not cutting through the wall. And then wall that one off. So we are apparently suffering here from dampness. That's fine. We will tolerate the dampness and dig through the dampness and then widen the shaft and line it with something. I mean, we could probably smooth it. It's probably good enough rock that we can smooth it, and maybe smoothing works at the moment. We think it might do. It would be a good test. Oops. Just seeing, do we have like spectacular swimmers? Not really, no. Just going to watch things and check that we get like some advancement by dwarves down here. Yes, good. Right, I'm willing to believe that the dwarf washer is functional on both sides. We're doing 2 bits of digging at the moment, both of which are prone to cancellation. So marking that for smoothing might have a good effect, or might not. That square has somehow ended up not actually being an upward staircase. We'll fix that lot later. As long as some of them are staircases, it's fine. So do we have a bunch of smoothing tasks scheduled now? Has this finally started working? Not entirely hopeful. I mean, if smoothing still doesn't work, then actually what we want to do at the south end is to dig all the way down to the caverns and just dump the river into the caverns. There was a thing I was going to look up. One of the things I was going to look up was having spotted like a bunch of objects lying around that should be unforbidden so that they can be recycled. Objects that have fallen through the roof from the battles above. Actually, can we just like mark everything here as not forbidden? There we go. I'm sure there were other things I wanted to do though. Oh well. Right, so those are still damp walls. Let us not trust the availability of smoothing. Elves are just weird. Maybe they are in fact the anti-Rango. That might explain things.
I like cheese though.
Maybe just everyone likes cheese.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
Right, so I think we should, now that we're planning to dig down far enough to reach this farm plot, I think we should configure this farm plot for quarry bushes, which are the things you get rock nuts off. At least for 3 seasons of the year. We could also probably fertilise it, and I may have made that slightly too big. Is it easily practicable to like reduce the size? I don't think you can reduce the size of a farm plot, because like I think while we were growing quarry bushes, we were getting too many of them. Oh well. I had a thought. Yes. How have we configured the mill seeds, nuts to paste? So we've tried to keep a stock of 30 oil-bearing seeds, by which possibly we should adjust that to slightly more narrow, like oil-bearing rock nuts. No, not oil-bearing small rocks. When we say oil-bearing rock nuts, yes. Unrotten rock nuts. Yeah, that seems good. So we're aiming for 30. Well, in that case, having 24 spaces to plant them seems about right. I mean, 30 would probably be more sensible, but hey. So, is smoothing gone and got broken again then? I think I'm going to say I don't quite understand how the smoothing happened last session, partly because I wasn't actually watching it. So I'm going to do what I'm doing elsewhere and just say we don't need to do this by smoothing, we can do it by tanking instead. Just by digging that out one square and building a proper wall in there. We could actually dig this staircase upwards as well as downwards, couldn't we? By coming in from the bottom as well. I mean, admittedly, it's quite damp down there, but that's fine. All of this is just going to get cancelled, Ben. Why are you bothering? We want kaolinite anyway. Right, and let's put in another wall there. We are, of course, finding a bunch of damp rock down here. And while I'm not sure how the water will get in there, I certainly don't trust it. May as well just use the rough stone we've got lying around. That's all damp too. Right, this is all a bit faffy, but we are getting there. So we do appear to be generally a bit short on tanned hides and most kinds of cloth. I should investigate the cloth situation in a bit. How's this doing? Still building the walls. You can put that one in at least. Don't actually see any problem with using the rock that we happen to have here. That one got suspended probably because there was something in the way. But like, the water is not noticeably deep down here at the moment, which is nice. If we can keep building at a reasonable pace, that will stay the way. It'll stay that way. You don't actually have to go up to the surface, Ben, in order to move the viewport to the other side of the map. So we seem to have messed up that bit of staircase, but let's not worry about that for now. Let's get those walls built to seal up that area. So let's look at cancelled jobs. I think we do have jobs to make food storage items. We're still short of gypsum. Okay, let's nip down to our new gypsum mines and deliberately increase the amount that we're mining out. Let's also get some limestone while we're there. Right, so down here we're clearing away a bunch of kaolinite to try to get to this staircase. And frankly, just to clear away the kaolinite. It's like kaolinite is useful. Let's dig around the staircase for now and then remark the staircase to be a staircase. So since this is siltstone, it's partly siltstone, partly conglomerate. Yes, I visited the Sedgwick Museum of Earth Sciences last weekend and am thus a little less suspicious of my dwarves' habit of building things out of conglomerate, because like you can get conglomerates that are reasonably like sturdy and solid, and with good stoneworking I think you could actually produce like conglomerate mechanisms and such like, and they would only be slightly fragile.
I mean, neglecting the fact that mechanisms need some sort of quantum entanglement to work.
Yeah. But at that point, conglomerate's no worse than anything else. Like they do have some nice, shiny, polished, solid lumps of conglomerate in the Sedgwick. Right, so now what I want to do is to make well, I mean, I could make mechanisms out of metal, but we have better uses for metal. We can make armour out of metal. So someone's coming down here to... yeah, I think this water here is leaking in from the ceiling. Aha, and we have some quarry bushes planted here. We should, of course, stop growing quarry bushes up here at the same time, shouldn't we? Let's mark that as... let's not immediately try to... let's leave it set to quarry bushes in spring. Now let's set it to leaf fallow, and I think what that means is we'll harvest what's left. We'll abolish those stockpiles and generally wind down this farm plot in favour of a deeper underground one, which we're now trying to make vaguely accessible. Not quite sure which bits of this I should attempt to wall in, because like everything's leaking a bit round there. I think we mostly have to accept that that area is going to get quite wet. Oh, if you dig a staircase upwards, it looks like it doesn't stop at each level that it finds to be wet, because you can't see the level above when you're digging an upward staircase in the way that you can see the level below. So it's only once you actually dig into the level above that you see that it's...
you discover it was the bottom of an underground lake.
Yes, but at that point it's too late, and you may as well just keep going upwards, and thus you end up piercing all of the levels and exposing all of the rocks at the same time, which is like much more efficient, if rather wetter. But that's kind of fine, because you're probably digging upwards from somewhere where you could have some drainage. So it is kind of reasonable. Let's mine yet more gypsum and some limestone while we're there. Right, so that's still damp. So let's carry on widening of these. Like, may as well mine all of the gems while we're there. And then as a bituminous coal seam, well, I mean, maybe we don't want to, no, actually I don't think we do want to go all the way into the bituminous coal seam, because that might go a very long way. Gems are worth saving. I thought we gelded everyone who could make a lamb pregnant. Oh well. Make a lamb pregnant, make a ewe pregnant.
What date is it next week?
Friday, today is the 16th, so it'll be 20 November.
Right. I have a thing coming up in a couple of weeks that might disrupt the weekend, but not next weekend because it's in a while. Right. Good night.
You know, we don't want to make it from gypsum. We have other uses for gypsum. If all else fails, porcelain bricks are fine. I mean, my guess is the water can't actually come through siltstone. So possibly we don't need to dig out the siltstone. Let's be optimistic about that. See how it turns out. Actually, for more elegance, can we put a door in there? No, I'm out of doors. Oh well. Then it will have to be a wall, and we'll knock it down again if we want that coal. Right, so, ooh. We should see if we can build a staircase up from there to there. Does that work? Looks like it does. And then presumably we could actually cancel the top half of that staircase on the grounds that we only actually need to build it on that level. That seems to work. Good. Okay, we're getting definite leakage there, so I'm glad we've walled that off. And like, there is some water coming down here. I'm not quite sure from where, but I think we've at least reduced the amount. But it is mostly leaking in through the ceiling, and there's not much to be done about that. And like, we could consider it a form of irrigation, except that we're not letting it get as far as the actual farm plot. You can see we are now attempting to grow rock nuts down here, and we kind of hope that that will go well. We're still getting... what's going on with our plaster jobs? Have we managed to make all the plaster yet? No, we've made some. People are at least taking more gypsum away, so like we'll eventually get to the point where we have a useful amount of gypsum plaster, or rather we already have a useful amount of gypsum plaster. My problem is that I want to finish the task to make more of it so that then we can stop. So we want to produce about 10 more boulders of gypsum, please. Four, five-ish, 6. Trying to cut around the edge of the cavern so that then we can automatically finish off mining without any danger of letting the cavern in. I think we probably have enough gypsum now. Oh, but there's a gem. Chilton's new headcanon is that dwarves put all the spoil from their extensive excavations in their trouser turn-ups and then empty them off the edge of the map when you're not looking, which would explain how they managed to dig out so much space while not actually taking very much rock to the surface. Right, that's probably enough gypsum available that we can finish off that gypsum task, and we've also sliced all the way through that cluster, so we can then auto mine the western section. I could actually just set that to very low priority auto mining, couldn't I? I'm sure that will be safe. As long, yes, they shouldn't start mining anything surprising. Oh, what's a white semicolon? Selenite. Well, that's fine. I don't think I need that. Right, so that should give me more than adequate gypsum for any future needs. That one's managed to get suspended and needs to be resumed. That is still damp. We need to get at least that deep. So let's try to go another layer down there. I think my dogs are dying of, possibly of encounters with giant Kias. I am pleased to see that the dwarf washer is being popular, though this should be improving our swimming ability quite a lot. I think the giant Kias are now sufficiently agitated that they're not only trying to steal our books. Oh yes, another thing I'd like to do is to clear up that dead goblin, and more generally to make that island in the river accessible. I think I should just do that by adding some diagonally arranged floors to extend out to the island. Except you can't actually do that because, okay, let's not do it like that then. Because they wouldn't be appropriately adjacent. And I don't think we actually need to wall off that section because magnetite won't leak water in anyway. This dog is just repeatedly standing up. It's not an interesting fight. The processed plant bag. Oh no, that's the easy bit, isn't it? It's mill seeds to paste that we don't yet have. Oh, and there was, yes, oh, something's rotting. For some reason there is a rotten dog corpse there, partly because it's somehow ended up forbidden. I was going to have a look through our kitchen list, because I think there are some things here that are wrong now. So this lists what things the kitchen is allowed to cook and what things the stills are allowed to brew. And in particular, we have a bunch of restrictions on brewing seeds that we happen to have lying around. And for the most part, I don't think we care about those. Like, we're not trying to grow any of these things. So it's fine to cook any, even plump helmet spawn that we have lying around. Let's get the number of those items down. Simplify the stuff we have. Obviously anything we can brew, we brew rather than cooking though. Right, and here's an interesting thing. We have 170 rock nut, singular. So I think that is our rock nut press cakes. I wonder where those are stored. Are they glob? Yes. We have 170 rock nut press cake. Those are useless. As in, they're what you have. They're the protein bit of the rock nut after you've squished out all of the oil. So we should mark those as to be cooked as well. That is not to be confused with rock nuts plural, which are the unpressed seeds and which we don't want to cook. Once it's become a mass noun, we want to cook it. So rock nuts plural are the seeds which we want to plant. But wherever it's gone now. Rock nut mass we want to cook. And I'm not sure about tallow, but if we've managed to make it, we may as well cook it. I think our dogs are probably mostly winning against the giant Kia. Well, I say that. There do appear to be 2 dog corpses, which I bet are not going to get butchered. So we tend not to butcher our own animals if they're killed by means other than explicit slaughter. Right, so water does not appear to be coming in down here. Excellent. Well, we should really be about to dig deeper then. Oh, I probably did that at stupidly low priority as well, didn't I? Back up to sensible priority. And that will get priority, there we go, over the gypsum mining. Now down to 7. Plaster powder still needing to be made. And like we've got steel making going again. Oh, we should probably make like some armour for people, shouldn't we? Let's quickly glance at what our... No, not create new squad. Equip. So we do have people still in iron mail shirts rather than steel. If I select them all and then choose equip, that means I now actually get to see all of them. Just seeing how many iron mail shirts we've got actually in use. 5. I suppose the answer should really be we want, if we've got 55 squads, we want about 50 steel mail shirts to exist. So we can do that from the other side, can't we? Armour. We've currently got 17 steel mail shirts, so let's make 30 of them. We won't have the... assuming... Do we actually... Possibly we already have that task here. Let's just check. No, we don't. Right. Let us set up a task which will take a long time to complete, of make 30 more steel mail shirts. That will need us to make a lot of steel, which will take time, but it'll happen eventually. Oh, excellent. Let's have a slightly higher priority auto mining job for that smoky quartz then. It looks like we found a galena vein that like bisects our another artifact coming that bisects our gypsum cluster. Still waiting for a miner to come out and do the next bit of this. I think this is them. So an interesting question here is, do we think we can smooth our way out of this? And I think the answer is we don't know. So I think we should keep going down as well. Oh, they've claimed the mechanics workshop. That's an intriguing thing to have chosen. Right, so that's damp conglomerate. So let's, at middling priority, mine that out so we can wall it in. Which will admittedly involve people trekking all the way across the map again. All of them, basically I suspect each miner will go, oh, there's a square over there that's a higher priority that I could go and mine, and go and mine it and then come back again. Which is not the most efficient approach. Right, we're still short of food storage items. We have plenty of wood though, so I think we're being limited by supplies of wood, by rate at which we can make barrels rather than supplies of wood, which is fine. Right, that farm plot has been almost drained. That farm plot is slowly filling up. Yes, we can see there's a bit of flooding there, but that's all right. That wall has ended up getting suspended for some reason. We need to build walls around there in order to stop that leaking. We can see we've definitely got some leakage there, but that's fine. It's not emerging into the staircase. And indeed, the magnetite down here does appear to be waterproof. So we can probably actually remove some of those walls. Oh, but they might leak from above, I suppose. No, they can't leak from above because they've got walls above them. Those two squares, I think it's safe to remove the walls. Right. Now wall in this layer. I think we can keep going downwards reasonably safely. So, arguably this is the layer at which we might want to start trying to get out through the edge of the map, but smoothing does seem to have stopped working again. What other things are my dwarves doing? Only about half of them appear to be busy learning doctoring. Probably something we need to do fairly shortly is to reorganise military activities, but I don't think that's a job for today. What? I didn't mean to build a wall there. Stoats, that was meant to be a floor. Right, well, let's try to fix that. So yes, all of that is now reasonably watertight. And that farm plot, yes, is being farmed. I think this is caused by items getting in one another's way down here. So we should probably wait until all of the things, tasks get cancelled or don't. Well, I mean, we can unsuspend all of them if as necessary. That one, of course, is inaccessible anyway until someone finishes doing the digging here. Well, that's not a very exciting task. Okay, you can aim your shield if you want to. Oh dear. Still, if you've been knocked off the track, that's generally good. So how are we doing for supplies? Oops, how are we doing for supplies in our hospital? Oh, surprisingly short of thread and cloth. Or is it just that just that the chest in here is now full? Maybe we should stick another chest in there. Let's stick the nicest chest we have. It doesn't actually look like a very serious injury, does it? You've just got bruised guts from being pummeled by a minecart. Probably don't even need to go to hospital for that one. I notice that we do seem to be short one bed in the hospital. It also occurs to me that we have an artefact bed lying around. So let's stick that artefact bed in the hospital. I'm sure that will allow people to be healed brilliantly. Process plant bag is the critical thing in the production of rock nuts. Right, we can now remove the remains of that farm plot. My hope is that the new deep underground farm plot will produce much more rock nuts. Or rather much more quarry bushes, which will then be converted into rock nuts. So how's our limestone quarry going? Where is it? Oh, there. Rather our gypsum quarry, though we're going to need quite a bit of limestone as well. I notice we don't seem to have any limestone lying around down here anymore, so possibly I should, as a fairly high priority, arrange to like dig some more of it out. We have actually got adequate gypsum, whereas we might not have adequate limestone. Still making plaster powder. Still making steel bars. Oh yes, how's the new make steel male shirts going on? We've made 2 of the 30, good. Yes, the new bed that I've just installing in the hospital is indeed made of bones. We will inspect it once it's finished, once it's been properly built. So you can see that that bed is unusually white because this is a beak dog bone bed. All grass straw ship is of the highest quality, etc. And well, this way lots of people will get to see this magnificent bed when they come into the hospital, which will cheer them up, I hope. So how's our digging down here going on? Still doesn't seem to be being like dug. Wonder why. Excellent. Mysterious construction is underway, though it can't be very mysterious because there aren't very many things you can build in a mechanics workshop. So whatever you're building, wow, it's being made out of gypsum, rough milk quartzes, donkey leather, willow logs, copper bars, porcelain bricks, more willow logs, and rough rose quartzes. Might be quite good, whatever it turns out to be. Right, we can see that this is someone, I think, making steel, or making pig iron, which is one of the ingredients of steel. Excellent. So our limestone quarry deep underground is proving useful. So this will connect it to that staircase, whatever that's good for. Actually, it's probably most useful for the fact that it gets us to that kaolinite cluster. Anything going on over here? No, because it's such a long walk from the rest of the fortress that when I set a job going over there, it takes forever to wait for anyone to arrive. So just wondering about the clothing jobs. Also thinking maybe I should try to shuffle them to be closer together. Is that one still set to 400? Didn't I decide I actually wanted that to be set to like 40? For now. Though there is a question of like how many we have lying around worn out, but yeah. We'll experiment and see how this goes. Mostly we have an excess of socks, though not only of socks. All right, someone's coming to mine this, finally. That's probably going to be another layer that needs to be... all right, they've done it. Still damp, still damp. Actually, we could test some smoothing here, couldn't we? Mark that patch for smoothing and see if it happens. Appears to be a fist fight between a Kia and a doctor there. That one somehow ended up suspended. That one somehow ended up suspended. Let's try to fix those. Because otherwise stuff is going to leak in. I'm pleased, by the way, that lots of people are riding mine carts. Do not put someone into the military the moment that they... Yes, you want to put them into the military when they get off the mine carts. Right, well, here we have a squilled swimmer who is about to get off the minecart, I think, if I've not got confused. Oh, that's rather alarming. Right, now that they've left the minecart, let us make the mayor a member of the Waters of Twinkling. Right, they've just abandoned all of their clothes. on the floor. But they haven't abandoned them in the swimming pool and have worked out most of what they need to wear instead, and will now go in search of it, I hope. Or maybe they'll go and store an item in the bin in a bin instead. That's another occurrence of the word garak. I discovered recently that in Korean, garak means long, thin part of a thing. So in particular, yes. So son garak, which son meaning hand, is finger, and bal garak, when bal means foot, is toe, and mori garak, where mori means hair, is a strand of hair. Not as far as I know. But then here we have garak means clutches in Dwarven. No, sorry. No, that's his name, sorry. He created, the mayor created an object called Geshuden Garak. And I'm now wondering what Geshuden Garak means. Meanwhile, Raoul Lularuzol, doctor, has created Sholid Kulbek, a gypsum mechanism. She claims it as an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Doren Soaktomes. Let us quickly inspect that mechanism, which is called the clutches of adulation. This is a gypsum mechanism. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality, but it's surprisingly low value. It is encrusted with rectangular gypsum cabochons, studded with copper, decorated with willow, and encircled with bands of donkey leather, willow, and round porcelain cabochons. This object menaces with spikes of milk quartz. On the item is an image of two clouds in rose quartz. Right, okay. Where's the mayor got to? I was trying to follow the mayor, as I just assigned them to the military, and they were wandering around. Okay, no, they appear to be wearing an admittedly rather random selection of clothes. But like a selection of clothes nonetheless. Okay, it does appear to be mostly a cloak and a bunch of crowns. So what was Geshuden Garak anyway? Dear, I fear that that surgeon is going to need some surgery. Still short of food storage items. Well, we're working on that as hard as we can. What is the mayor? Oh, right, now, aha, the mayor is now picking up equipment. Excellent. Having apparently discarded all the stuff they were carrying again, they now have a steel mail shirt on. Excellent. This is what we like to see. I mean, it does seem to take a lot of faff finding all of the armour, probably because I've spread it across the entire map, but where are you going? I'm sure there isn't anything you want down here, is there? All right, you're heading for this stockpile, which is where most of the metal armour is kept. Found yourself some iron chain leggings, right. And now you're going to go and ride a minecart again, because having got yourself a steel mail shirt and some iron chain leggings, noting that iron chain leggings were not on the list of things you should wear, I'm fairly sure you've decided that riding minecarts is more fun, which, like, I can totally understand. Though it may not be quite so much fun for us, because that's kind of alarming. Right, so let's stop watching the mare. The mare has put at least some armour on, like, that's nice. How are things going down here? We need more walls. Apparently we're still finding damp conglomerate. This is a very deep conglomerate layer, isn't it? My current plan is to try to get all the way through the aquifer layers.
I did picture that as a really big chicken. It lays aquifers.
Thank you. I'm now a little bit suspicious of that rock nut roast. It's probably okay. As in, is it properly made from rock nut press cake? Yes, it looks like it is. I mean, it just appears as minced rock nut, but on the other hand, it is notable that we are cooking with a lot of rock nut press cake down there. And like, nut roasts are even a real thing. Oh, there's a dead duck. Dump the dead duck. You're only a novice swimmer. You're not going to be put into the military just yet. Similarly, you. You're a skilled swimmer, but you're indeed the mayor and are already a member of the Masters of the Thing of Twinkling. You're a competent swimmer and are not in a squad. Well, let's see if we can upsettingly watch you getting off the dwarf washer, and then we can put you in a squad. Apparently you can also use minecarts to train dodging in a way that doesn't actually involve them running over anyone, but I don't fully understand it. Hello, is anyone going to ride this minecart so that we can unlock this dwarf? Yes. Now Now we need someone to ride another minecart. It may possibly be a little too upsetting to watch. Right, this dwarf is the one we're dealing with. They've just got off there. They are a competent swimmer. Their name is Logem Isaac Zephon. Who is already an adequate fighter. Well, that's probably good. Haven't yet decided to dump all of their worldly possessions, which is probably for the best. Ah, right, that staircase has finally got through the aquifers. And it has gone whoosh downwards and failed to find the caverns. It's officially damp. Yeah, I'm going to not trust that and carve it out anyway. That's siltstone though, and that won't support an aquifer. So I think that's now got through the aquifer layers. I want to finish off that shaft, get that shaft into a state where it's sealed and like nicely watertight, and then we will stop for the night. Also be paying some attention. Oh, you're one of our few people who I'm not going to get to join the military no matter how good you are at swimming, because you've only got one hand and it will be very unfortunate if you lose the other one. On the other hand, the next person behind them we would like to get out and into the military. And the next one as well. You're a high master swimmer, but you're already in the waters of Twinkling. So why are you crawling everywhere? You don't seem to be like severely injured or anything. Oh well, you're a proficient swimmer. Your name is Fath Cyclone Oil Tholis Tuzol. And you are now a member of the Waters of Twinkling. Yes, I'll be stopping quite soon. I just want to get this shaft into a state where it's not in danger of like flooding or anything. Which it currently is. Not just in danger of flooding, it is flooding. These all just need someone to come down and construct them, at least for now. Keeping an eye on whether they've accidentally got suspended. I wonder how we're going to get from there to either the edge of the map or the edge of the map is fairly easy if we can smooth it, or get to the caverns. That one can safely be built now. Ooh. Let's count that one. Ooh, there's still water down here. That worries me a little. Ooh. Can claystone support an aquifer? Let me quickly check that. Layers which cannot contain aquifers, claystone. Okay, so I'm not quite chalk. Doesn't look like it. I mean, that's damp, I think, simply because water's poured down from above. I think that water is not a serious problem and is just water that has leaked in from the upper levels of that shaft. So I think that's fine. This may be a bit optimistic. Yeah, so I think we do have two deep water at the bottom here, but I think that's just come down from the layers up round here, where we have had aquifers. And so it won't flood further. We might want to pay some attention to that later, but... So there we're not quite at the depth of the caverns. But like the caverns are down here. So my expectation is that the caverns extend southwards and we can find a southern bit of cavern somewhere over here. But like maybe we won't. Right, so that's now all properly walled off. So that staircase will not flood, we hope, despite the fact that there's 2/7 of water right at the bottom of it. So next time, we're not in a hurry, but we should try to find some way to drain that staircase and then or to build some drainage near to that staircase so that we can attach it to the river. Meanwhile, dwarves are happily Asmel Nishkubuk, who is admittedly seeking infant, which is a situation that worries me a little after she's just been riding a minecart. But I think we should put her in the military as well. Asmel Nishkubuk. Right, has now been asked to join the military. Right, I think that's enough for tonight, and we will come back on Friday, and who knows what we will be doing, because like a lot of stuff has now got sorted out. So until then, good night. Somewhere around here there's a button for saying good night. Ah, here it is. Good night.